Hey, welcome to the Honey and Harry show. I'm Honey.
And I'm Harry.
Today, I have a very, very special guest, my daughter, Lindsey.
Hello, everyone.
And we're going to talk today about her breast cancer diagnosis since it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we're going to talk about, her journey and also some of the things that helped her for other people that may not know some of the things that we did that really got us through. So, hey, Lindsey.
Hello, everyone.
So why don't you tell us, how old you were? How did you find out? It was COVID. It was such a weird time. So.
Yeah, I was 29. COVID had just began in March of 2020, and I had been home for a couple of weeks with the kids, and it was just madness. Nobody really had a schedule. Nobody was going to school. We were trying to do some school at home and hang out with the neighbors and play. And there was just really no rhyme or reason to anything we were doing. And I had gotten a text message that it was time for my yearly checkup at Women's Hospital. And it was the beginning of May.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I am not going to go
We
get
didn't want
this
to risk
check.
you getting COVID.
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't want to go get COVID. I didn't want to stand in line and get my temperature taking and all that kind of stuff. It was just the thought of going to the doctor during COVID was a headache. And so I had called you and I had kind of mentioned it to you, and you were like, no, you need to go. Just go, use it to get out the house, to get away from the kids, just get a little break. And so the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I kind of am going crazy in the house, so I guess I could use this as a way to get out the house and, I don't know, just do something besides play with the kids all day. So my mom, she came over, and I remember standing in the line outside of Women's Hospital with my mask on, and there was a long line because every single person that came in couldn't have anyone with them, and then all had to have their temperature taken. There was a process to let everyone in. And so I remember standing in that line and texting my husband saying, I don't know why I came here. I should have went and got lunch by myself. I should have went and got a coffee. I don't know why I'm here. And sure enough, I waited, and I went through the line, and then I got into the doctor's office, and I saw Dr. Rebecca Boudreau. She's my OBGYN. She is fantastic. Absolutely adore her. And it was just my yearly checkup that all girls have to go to. I had never felt anything. I never suspected that something was wrong with me.
Again, you're 29.
I'm 29, healthy. I was just about to start teaching climb at my Pilates studio. I was a collegiate athlete. I'd like to think I was healthy most of my life. And so I went in, and Dr. Boudreau was doing the breast examination, and she goes, do you feel that right there? And it was very close to the center of my chest. I said, no. And she goes, here, put your hand on it. So I put my hand on it. I mean, it felt like a little ball. And so she said, do you drink a lot of caffeine? Do I drink a lot of caffeine? Of course I drink a lot of caffeine. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old at home, and it's COVID, and I'm trying to survive. Yes. And she's like, well, it's probably nothing. You can get these little cysts from high caffeine drinks, whatever. So I said, okay, no worries. And she was like, I'm going to send you down to ultrasound just in case. Okay. So I go downstairs to ultrasound. I get in the room. The ultrasound tech puts the scanner on my chest, and maybe for 3 seconds she puts it back down and she walks out the room. And I'm thinking, that's odd. And so she came back in the room, and she goes, we're going to do a mammogram. And at that point I was like, okay, obviously they're just trying to get a better picture of this.
And in the meantime, you're texting me this.
Kind of.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, not really.
Like, we're not worried, but you're like...
Not worried.
Yeah.
And so I go sit in the waiting room, and, when you look back at this, you can see God winks everywhere if you think about it and talk about the story every time. And while I was in the waiting room, I had actually seen a parent a mom from St. Jude where I work. She was going in and had the same thing, getting in another exam. And I was talking to her and she's like, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. So then I go in for a mammogram and they took like 1 or 2 pictures here. And then they took like 12 pictures on this side. And then they said, don't get dressed. Just have a seat. Okay. And so they came back again and they took like 12 more pictures, which felt like 100 more pictures on my right side. And so at that point I said, okay, something's there. We don't know what it is. No one's really going to know what it is. So they told me to dress out, dress back in. And they said, but don't leave. You're going to go sit with the radiologist. Okay. So I get dressed and I go sit in with the radiologist. And he said, look, I can't tell you that this is cancer because we haven't biopsied it, but it's supposed to look like a balloon. Imagine a balloon that has soft, round edges, and yours does not. Yours looks like it has hair coming all over it. He goes, but of course, we have to biopsy it. So I'm going to send you back to your OBGYN, and she's going to recommend you to an oncologist, a breast oncologist. I said, okay, that's fine. So I go back upstairs to see Dr. Boudreaux, and she comes out with a card of a breast oncologist, and she goes, you're going to go right now. Okay. So I leave her office again, and I go back down to a breast oncologist, and my husband met me there, and they took a biopsy, and it was a Thursday, and so they said they weren't going to have anything back until after the weekend, and that weekend was actually Mother's Day weekend. Yeah. And so I did not want to concern anyone. So I told her, I said, we're not telling anybody anything. We don't know what this is. We don't know if it is anything at all. We'll be fine. So within 3 hours of my appointment, I was sitting with a breast oncologist and getting a biopsy. And sure enough, when I went back the next week on the Tuesday, I had to go by myself because it was COVID. And the breast oncologist came in and told me, she said, yep, it's cancer. And so at that point, I thought, I'm just glad it's not my kids, because if there's anyone that can get through it, it's me.
And can you tell everybody what your diagnosis was and your treatment plan?
Yeah, it was invasive ductal carcinoma. It was only stage 1. Thank you, Jesus. She found it so early, but it was invasive, meaning that it had spread. And so I had a double mastectomy. I had to go through like 6 months of chemo every other week.
And let's talk about the double mastectomy, because for me as your mother,
yeah.
I couldn't be there.
Could
not be there. So
it was a really intense surgery.
I went crazy. I was losing my mind because I couldn't be there. And I actually snuck into the hospital, got in there, and got to see you.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you something. Nobody was going to stop me.
No, it was.
And I got in there to see you, and I had to see you.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense surgery. Mean, I've had my gallbladder taken out, and I've had 2 C-sections from having children. And I will say, waking up and being completely handicapped, not being able to move your body, upper extremities at all, you feel so helpless. I was very, very sick.
You couldn't hold your baby no more.
I couldn't hold. You don't realize how much you hold your children until you can't hold them at all. And so moving forward, while I was recovering, I had drains. I had 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Don't want me to interrupt, but like if there's anybody listening, tell them what you used, because you have to have drain bags. Drain bags. They actually have pockets that you can put inside your robe or your shirt that you wear, because they will give you a front latched Velcro bra that has hooks. But any type of like hanging of the drain and it pulling on the holes of your skin is so painful. And so, you put them in these little pockets my cousin Abby had sent from her mom, who had a double mastectomy, and you put them in your clothing, and it was fantastic. We had a shower seat. We changed the head of the shower so that it was a detachable shower head, because I could not bathe myself. And I also, you can't sit in a bathtub because you won't be able to pick yourself up to get out of the bathtub. And so the shower seat was great. My sister would bathe me. She would pull the shower head down and shower me. And that was, you have to have help. You can't bathe yourself. And then someone to dump your drains, which, it was all
Not glamorous.
not glamorous in any way.
And also, because of COVID, which was so terrible, you had to go to chemo alone. No one could sit with you.
No.
I remember distinctly after your first chemo, you were like, your face burned. And
Yeah.
you, to this day, when you get hot, you have burns because I guess the chemo was running a little too fast. And I guess you didn't have anybody. Like, if I would have been sitting there, I would have noticed like that and I would have said
Right.
something, but you were alone. And I
Yeah.
mean, the nurses were great. They did everything. That's
had
the one thing you
snacks,
told me. Yeah.
But I mean, it is not the most glamorous room to be in. You have women in there who are dying. But they try and make it as best as possible. They're caring. You have warm blankets. You have to put your hands in ice and your toes in ice so your fingernails and your toenails don't fall off. You get the neuropathy pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, and then you have to watch everything you eat. I got lockjaw. It was a whole slew of things.
And like also the Trader Joe's miso soup. I think I bought more miso soup from Trader Joe's.
That was my go-to.
That was our go-to for chemo. After chemo, that's all you could hold down and laying in that recliner. The recliner was the
after
best
the
thing.
double mastectomy.
You couldn't get in that bed. There was no
couldn't get
way.
in my bed. I slept in a recliner for about 4 months. I almost had to train myself to sleep back in a bed because I had gotten so used to sleeping in a recliner. And to this day, I still sleep on my back because I was forced to sleep on my back for so long and I couldn't turn left or right. And so now it's like I trained myself to sleep on my back, which I guess is great for wrinkles.
So let's talk about like for both, I think for our whole family, I think for me especially and you, our faith journey with this has been incredible.
Of course.
Sister Dulce and their
Her
ministry has been overly generous to us. Always. But maybe you can talk about some of your writings and your, I know you have such a deep faith with like Mother Mary, how important. I mean, Pearl, your daughter, like unbelievable, loving Mother Mary.
Yes.
Padre Pio, those kind of things. You want to?
Yeah, I mean, I always have had faith. Being a collegiate athlete, I knew that my talent wasn't me alone, that everything that I did, I always gave glory to God. And so I knew in the hard times or anytime I got anxious or nervous while being a college athlete that I could lean on him. He was always there for me. So there was never a doubt in my mind that when I got sick, that I could turn this pain and suffering into good. I just didn't realize that fighting to live felt so much like dying. And so for me, it was a mindset of digging so deep into my faith. Everywhere I looked, every book that I read, every song that I listened to on K-Love, everything had to be based around my faith and around God. And I prayed every day. And I knew that cancer wasn't a curse, but it was a blessing.
Yep.
Because I knew that I was going to find the good in the suffering. And that's what you have to do. We all carry a cross. Every single person that you see walking down the street, walking in a store, every person has a cross. Mine, cancer. And so I had to figure out how to navigate the pain and the suffering and use it for good and to find the joy in what I was doing. And I did.
And you did. And I was amazed by that. So I'm going to tell a story. I'm probably going to cry.
God.
So we're in the car. And I don't know if you remember this. We're in the car. And Pearl's in the back, probably listening to Dancing in the Moonlight. We were always listening to that.
Music.
or Ann Wilson,
Yep.
just jamming. And we were in carpool line. And we were at St. Jude. And I'm wearing my sunglasses. And I think you saw tears coming out my eye. And I'm like, doing that. I don't want Pearl to know I'm crying. We're picking up Carter from school. And I was driving you around at that time so you could be a part of everything. And I was like, I am so mad at God. I was so mad.
I said that a lot.
I know, I did. I said it all the time. Sister and them helped me with that. But I was so mad. And I was like sitting in this parking lot at a Catholic school. And how can this happen to my child? Like, why not me? Like, why not me? Why not? I mean, unfortunately, I was like, why not anybody else but my kid? I mean, that's how I felt. And you looked at me and you were like, Mom, this isn't like a curse, it's a blessing, like you told me.
Right, it's a blessing.
And I looked at you like you had 3 heads. Like I was like, what the heck is wrong with my child? Like, this is not a blessing. She's like, Mom, but some people leave this earth and they never get a chance to be close to God. And we get to be close to God.
Thank God.
Thank God, because Lord knows I needed to get closer to God. We all do.
Yep.
I remember that day so clearly. And I remember thinking, you're so wise. You're so wise. It was just, we had some hard times back then. There were some hard days.
Yep.
And your strength was just, God got us through it.
Absolutely. All glory.
He's the only one that could have given it. And Miss Gloria.
Etheridge.
And all of our friends and
family,
party girls, my best friends in the world, all my good friends that were there for us. Absolutely. All right. So enough about, I'm sorry I made everybody cry, made my daughter cry. I'm sorry, but that was such a pivotal moment in my life because I was like, here's somebody who everything's getting taken from her right now. And
you have to find
she's
joy.
giving it to God and saying we're so lucky that we get to be closer to God.
Yep. And,
I pray the rosary every single day just about now. I try to go to Mass almost if I can. If I can make it, I do. Those are things that I didn't do before this. And I'm so blessed that, I get to do, those are things I'm getting to experience, and it's going to help me.
Trust and all that. You have to trust that He will carry you through. And, it was also seeing Miss Gloria at Sisters Ministry and almost becoming comfortable with the thought that if I die, it's okay.
It's not okay, but okay.
But that's
not okay. Just the man of that's not okay.
You look at this. We get this earthly life, and we're so blessed to have this earthly life and to be together. But what we should all strive for is life eternal. And
eternal life is everything.
That's what I kind of looked forward to, and that's kind of what gave me the strength was, okay, so although I'm suffering, I can offer up for souls in purgatory. And although, this is not how I pictured my life going, I'm going to find joy where I'm at.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to strive to trust Him and for Him to guide and get closer to being able to recognize when He's talking to me so that, I can live here and sacrifice whatever I need to sacrifice so I can get to heaven and live eternally.
All of us. And
with Him.
And also it's taught us, and it's taught me this. Slow down. If you call me, I call you every day. I want to hang out with you every day. I want to be up your butt every day.
Every day.
But anyways, it's like today, how we took our little trip to New Orleans. And it's just.
That's all you have is today.
Today. Let's go eat the pizza. Let's go to get the beignets. Let's make memories.
That's it.
Every day. Let's just make and just be thankful that we're all here and we're together and we're healthy. Yep. Gratitude has taught me that. So let's talk about your recovery. What are some of the things? Because the work starts now. Like you're working now to recover. Even like every single day. I know you've been 3 years cancer free. Thank you, Jesus. You have no hormones. We just got done having to get your test, and that's always an anxiety. But now, since I've become more faithful, I'm like, she's going to be fine. God is good. She's going to be fine. Taking your tamoxifen, all the side effects, the emotional toll it takes on you,
Right.
the tiredness. So I know those are all the things that you go, because I'm with you almost every day.
Right.
So I know that's what you're going through. I don't know if there's something I missed.
Well, I mean, it's almost as though they give you get cancer and you get diagnosed. So you have
Yes.
this clear checklist of this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And you have chemo on this day, and then you go get your blood work on this day. And then you have your this and that. And it's a clear checklist. And then you ring the bell and they're like, go live.
Speaking about ringing the bell, and I forgot to bring this up. So she finally got to finish chemo. I'm going to let you tell the story, but she finally gets to finish, and her husband had to sneak in the hospital. and
to be with me when I rang the bell.
So she could just be there to ring, which, with all that COVID stuff, that I can go, that's a whole nother show with that.
Yeah, I just kind of felt as though I never worried about COVID because I felt like cancer already put my life on a timeline.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't going to allow COVID to take that from me.
Absolutely.
And it was fascinating how many people I was around while my immune system was so extremely low that had COVID and never got it.
Isn't that crazy?
And I believe that was the Lord again.
God protected you.
Protected me because I wasn't going to lose time with family. Because of that, I'm still like that to this day.
No, we keep our faith with him.
Strong.
With him.
But yeah, I mean, recovery was really tough, and they throw you out into the world, and it's like you're expected to just live, and you've gone through so much trauma that it takes a little while to process it, and then on top of that, you have everyone who shares their opinions about what you need to eat, what you need to drink. What are you brushing your teeth with? And it's really, really overwhelming at once because you're trying to figure that out for yourself internally while trying to be normal for your children.
And your husband.
And your husband.
Yeah, everything.
I mean, and it's hard to navigate. I think about a year after, the whole year after I was diagnosed, it was just figuring myself out. Okay, what works? What doesn't work? Accepting the way that my body looks. That's a whole nother deal. Accepting my new hair. And it's hard to...
The hair was a thing.
The hair was a big thing.
But you rocked every look. The bald, just every look. The dark hair, the short with the headbands. I mean, you just did.
I am who
all.
I am.
No, you didn't. You didn't do the wig.
I didn't really like the wigs.
Oh, the wigs are hot and itchy. You don't want those wigs. But, I mean, you rocked it.
And I will say, I think the hair thing, my kids were 2 and 4 when I went through everything, and I didn't specifically tell them I have cancer. I said I got bobos on my boobies, and they made me sick, and the medicine I take makes my hair fall out. But it's funny how every kid processes trauma differently, and so for them, the hair was a huge deal.
Oh, it was.
When I shaved my head, they had to leave the house and go to a neighbor's house because they were so upset. And when I went to get my hair trimmed, when it was finally growing back in and colored, they lost it. They cried.
Oh, Pearl freaked.
They didn't want me to do anything to my hair. They asked if I was going to be bald again. And, that was a trauma for them and how they digested it. And I can remember walking Pearl to class at Mother's Day out, and little kids, I mean, they're 2 years old, pointing, saying, why does her mommy not have hair? And I would look at Pearl and be like, they're so silly. But for her, it was a trauma. And so to this day, if they hear me talking about going to get my hair done, they still ask, are you going to have hair when you come back home? Is the medicine you're taking going to make you lose your hair? And so, we just got to kind of...
The hair
bald
was a
is
thing.
beautiful.
It is.
And that's what I tried to tell them, and that's why I didn't wear a wig, and it's okay to not have hair. There's people who don't. T-Paul, shout out.
But, I remember this, too. I remember Pearl had a little Barbie, a bald Barbie.
Yeah.
And she had her little bike with the training wheels, and God bless her, she would just put that little bald Barbie in the seat of that little bike, and we would go for a bike ride, and she always had her little, because I kept them a lot when you were sick.
Yeah.
So it was like a way, I guess, her way of being close to her mommy
Mm-hmm.
with the bald Barbie. I mean,
Yep.
and then I was in her room not too long ago, and she's like, honey, you can just get rid of that bald Barbie. It's like, okay.
We moved past
We
it.
are done with the bald Barbie. We don't like her no more, so.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to, also would continue just to help, gosh, if there's anybody out there that's listening, how, you saw, you're taking the vitamins and, you exercise in the hyperbaric chamber. And
Yeah.
is there anything you can extend on that? Like, I think you have to do the holistic, what the doctor says, your oncologist says. I just think you have to do it's like a tons work, and like Clean Creations on Highland right
Diet.
there. Your diet's huge.
It's everything.
And like, it's hard. Sometimes you don't have time to cook healthy and do these
Well, I
elaborate
can't
meals.
cook multiple
No,
meals.
because the kids are so picky right
Right.
now. But like, I just thought that was,
I saw a functional medicine doctor, Dr. Stephanie Cave. She's here in Baton Rouge. I was familiar with her before I even got diagnosed. I took my children to her, and basically my goal was to break down my blood and figure out where am I lacking. Okay, I don't have hormones. I don't have this, so obviously my mood's going to be a certain type of way, and I don't want to have to take a antidepressant. I don't want to have to take an anxiety medication. I don't want to have to take those types of things, because everything you take, every cause has an effect, right? That's the medical world. My husband always tells me that every cause has an effect. And so we broke down my blood and we looked at it and figured out, okay, you need to take this B complex with MSM 750. And, I take probably 20 something supplements a day.
and Juice Plus.
I do Juice Plus every day. And I do the Clean Creations pretty much every day.
Oh, we love that
And I
place,
find
yeah.
that if I ever miss my vitamins or, eat unhealthy as I did today with the beignets,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not my best self. And so I find it so important to take the vitamins and to stay on top of eating clean and eating good sugars and not bad sugars.
Mhm.
And
That's like, because I brought you those donuts
yes,
from Crinkly, and they're
Clean
like,
Creations are
you can
great
have
donuts.
that,
You
and
can
you
have
can-
all those things.
but they cook, they make them healthy. It's just like I had those little power balls, and they were so good, and
Right.
it was good sugar. It wasn't
Right.
bad. So it's
shakes. I do a lot of shakes because I don't like the textures of fruits and vegetables. And I add dates and blueberries and a little protein to it. So it's taken a collection of things to get me where I am and hopefully build my immune system up so that the cancer can't fight or work itself in to my body. And so I'm very thankful for the holistic side. And I truly do think what you put in your body is what fuels you and keeps you going. And I mean, it took a long time to get my muscle mass back.
yeah, you're working out.
I'm
on it.
working out at Cajun CrossFit, and I absolutely love it. I'm still running all the time. And it's just, I'm tired, and it takes
Yeah.
a lot more effort to do these things. But again, I want to live. And so, that's what
you're-
it takes.
and you're gonna live.
I'm gonna live.
She's gonna
I'm
live.
be fine.
And I also want to talk about how, we love K-Love now, and how we just fill the car with Jesus every chance we get, because when the kids are listening to music, we want them to hear
Right.
the good stuff. I mean,
Right.
don't get me wrong, we listen to other things, but like during our whole journey, Ann Wilson, that song, Let Me Tell You About
And
My
Lauren Daigle.
and
For
that-
me,
yeah.
Lauren Daigle
Well,
and
Ann
Pearl.
Wilson was big, and that one song, Let Me Tell You About My Jesus.
Yeah.
I cry every time I hear that song.
Yeah. I read something the other day. You were an average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And I started thinking, okay, what do I surround myself with? And it's like, you have to surround yourself with, even if you don't have 5 solid people, the music you listen to, the TV that you watch, the books that you read, are those all what you want to be an influence on your life? And so I'm very much into like murder mystery shows and things like that. But I said, I need to stop so much into that and really surround myself with those 5 things to keep me in the whole realm of my spirituality and things like that. So K-Love is obviously the only thing I listen to besides my rosary podcast or the Bible in a year.
Mhm.
But I indulge in the Lord
Absolutely.
every day because he's the one that keeps me on the path of eternal life and glory and to live each day with a grateful heart.
100%. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, one more thing, probably 2 more things, is how good the bus breast
Breast
experience
cancer.
was
Yes.
for you and your friends you
Yes.
made. Oh my gosh, I love your little friends you made from
Yes.
that. I mean, just
Breast cancer.
Yes.
There's a lot of
They did such a
there's-
good job for y'all.
Yes.
They really do.
there's a lot of balls that donate to cancer, this and that. And I find with having breast cancer in the month of October comes around, there's so many companies that do what they call pink washing. So they put the pink emblem on this or the pink emblem on that, and it's like, are they really raising money and sending it to cancer services for women who are suffering with breast cancer? Or are they just putting it out there and saying, this is what we're going to do and not do it? And it's a very big forum that a lot of breast cancer survivors are very big on the pink washing, and they don't agree with it. And, there's a couple of balls in town that do the whole cancer thing. And when I got asked to do the bust breast cancer, oh gosh, for me, I was really skeptical because I'm not one to put on a costume and just dance out on the stage and stuff. It's totally not me.
Yes, you are.
And so for me, I was really nervous about it and skeptical of it at first. And Mike Millspaw was my designer, and he was fantastic and made me feel really comfortable. And so we went with the whole tracksuit runner theme. The number
I think it's a picture.
yeah,
up
the
there.
number 80085, so it looked like boobs, and the tracksuit was really cool, and I had a hat with a fake long blonde ponytail. And so I got on that stage, and you just feel so liberated, and you're celebrating with other survivors, and they recognize all the other survivors at the end. Everyone gets
and
on
your
the stage.
doctor was there.
My doctors.
All her doctors
were
were
there.
there. It's so supportive.
Supportive, and
Yeah.
the money goes back to giving women mammograms who can't afford it. And I just fully support the
And
event.
you had such good friends.
Such good friends, Lindsey and Rihanna, and just everyone who's involved in that entire program. Only one has had breast cancer. They all have been there, and so
They
we
get
all
it.
relate to each other on a level that not many people get. You don't want to relate to us on that level, but it is a fantastic organization. I love it. I fully support it, and I believe they're doing the right thing with their money.
Yeah, and we've had so many supportive people that I went to Walgreens, and I'm friends with some of the women in there, and they would pray with me.
I have so many people who pray for
that
me.
would just they didn't even hardly know me.
Yeah.
And they would just start praying with me for you when you
Yeah.
were sick.
I have
And
a lot of people who
Like
pray
that.
for me.
There's so many good people out there there's just so many good people out there.
Absolutely. And we're thankful for all of them.
We're so thankful for everybody that is in our life that have helped us. And we're very thankful for our little Esther that we had lost a Dutch. You lost
Yeah.
a Dutch during that
Dutch was
time.
my chocolate lab who I
Yeah.
had since I was 19, and he passed away. And so
As he was sitting with you.
on the front porch
Faithfully.
drinking coffee. He was my man. And me and my husband, Orion, that was our first child. And then
Died during that.
yeah, we had a good friend who gave us Essie, who's a toy
Mr. Bill.
Mr. Bill gave us Essie.
And Essie has brought so much joy and so much keeping it real.
Yeah. Essie.
I know. Sometimes, a dog is a good distraction, though.
Absolutely. The
I
kids
think
love her.
That dog has been so good. That's another thing. Something to think something else to think about besides what you're going through at
Right.
the time.
Right.
But
And I think, I would get chemo on Wednesday. I'd still run carpool and do mom duty until Friday. And then you would step in, take the kids Friday to Sunday. And I only gave myself, Saturday and Sunday to be sick. And then I got back up and I was in carpool and doing
me
life.
driving you around listening to the Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we were doing. That's exactly what we were doing. But anyways, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
I know it's an emotional thing to talk about, but like if any of this can help anybody, it's so worth it.
And if
right?
I can help anyone,
Oh, absolutely. Like questions.
please reach out.
Please. I mean, because you want to help people. Because I
Absolutely.
know, thank God that, we had some family men, not thank God we had family. That's so sad. They went through it too, but
They were so key. And
they were like, you need this, you need that. And I can't imagine if those people,
Cindy, Aunt Susan, Abby,
They
getting all the list of things that I needed, getting it to me.
I mean, what would we have done? I don't
I
know.
would have been lost and in trouble and not bathed, for sure. I wouldn't have been bathed.
Yeah, you would have been bathed.
Shout out to my sister for
Oh my
bathing
gosh,
me
I know,
the
I
whole
know.
time.
I know.
And my husband who drained my drains and loved me bald on the floor.
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about those days.
So yeah.
But
it
anyways.
was a whole deal, but
But
I'm
we're
so thankful
good.
for it.
We're healthy.
We are.
She's healthy now, and she's gonna stay healthy. So but
Yes,
thank you for
absolutely.
sharing. I appreciate you
Yes.
sharing. I know it's personal, it can be
Yes.
hard, but I appreciate it.
And you wanted to talk about your butterfly earring?
Oh my butterfly earrings. We have to talk about these because the butterfly has such a special meaning. Tell them real quick.
Yeah,
before we go.
I've always related to the butterflies because I've always said, I feel like a butterfly. It was through the painful process that I really came out of the cocoon and realized who I was and what was important in my life. And I'm grateful for the painful process of becoming one. So I relate to the butterfly, and I'm telling you, every day I see butterflies. Whether I'm driving, going down the road, butterfly. I'm running, butterfly. And so I just feel like those are my God winks that like he hears me, he sees me, he's with me, which I know, but it's always helpful when you have the butterfly that you see. So I love the
Absolutely.
butterfly. It means a lot to me.
Dad, do you have anything to say? You've been quiet.
Yeah, I want to say I love you both and thank you so much for sharing deeply and wholly and faithfully with all of us through all of this. So it's been a blessing and it will continue to be one. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.